Bombay during partition. An essay by Sadat Hassan Manto. We are fortunate that Manto brought his skills as writer and observer to the days of the partition in Bombay. So little is known about the atmosphere and the happenings during those crucial days, obscured by the jubilation of independence from the British. There is some material in the autobiography of the judge M.C. Shagla and in the writings of Rafiq Zakaria. However, Manto brings an immediacy which makes those days come alive. Indians cannot imagine how divided their cities are during that period, and this essay will take them by surprise. Manto then tells us through his experience in Pakistan how silly the whole enterprise was. When India was partitioned, I was in Bombay. On the radio, I heard speech made by Quaid-e-Azam, Jinnah and Pandit Nehru, and I saw the chaos that came to the city. Before this, I had read news about Hindu-Muslim violence in the newspapers daily. Some days, 5 Hindus would be cut down, other days 5 Muslims. In any case, it seemed to me that equal blood was drawn and shed by both sides. But now, at partition, it was different. Let me tell you how, through this story, the newspaperman would throw the Times of India through the kitchen window every morning. One day, it was just after a riot, the newspaperman knocked on the door. I was alarmed. I walked out and saw a stranger holding out the paper. I asked him, "Where is the man who delivers the papers daily?" "He is dead, sir," the stranger replied. "He was stabbed in Kamantipura yesterday. Before he died, he gave me a list of people to deliver the paper to and collect the money from them. I can't express what I felt on hearing this, so I won't try to. The next day I was at Clear Road near my house when I saw a body near the petrol pump. It was the corpse of an ice seller, a Hindu whose cot was next to him. The ice was melting. The drops mingled with the blood that had coagulated around him. It looked like jelly. Those were strange days. There was chaos, mayhem, panic everywhere, and from the womb of this anarchy were born two nations, independent India and independent Pakistan. Many wealthy Muslims in Bombay took a flight out to Karachi, hoping to see the celebrations of founding up an Islamic republic. The rest cowered in fear, only hoping that nothing terrible would happen to them. The 14th of August arrived. Bombay, always beautiful now, looked as gorgeous as a bride. It was glittering with lights, so many that I think the city had never spent so much as on power as it did that night. The Bombay Electric Supply and Tramway Company, called BEST, had decorated one of their tram cars for the festivities, covering it entirely in lights so that it resembled the tricolor of the Congress. It roamed the city roads the whole night. Many buildings were also lit up, especially the shops owned by the British like Whiteways and Evans Fraser. Now listen to what was going on in Bindi Bazaar. This is a famous market area dominated by what are called in Bombay's language Miabais, Muslims. It has countless hotels and restaurants, some called Bismillah and others called Subhanallah. The entire Quran is to be found in the names of this place. Bindi Bazaar is Bombay's Pakistan. Here, Hindus were celebrating the freedom of their Hindustan and Muslims of their Pakistan. I, of course, have no idea what to make of any of this. The few Hindu shops in Bindi Bazaar displayed the tricolor. Everywhere else, Islamic flags of Muslim League were visible. When I went there in the morning, I noticed something bizarre. The bazaar was covered in green flags. There was a painting of Jinnah made by an amateur, which was put up in a restaurant. I cannot get these sights out of my mind. The Muslims were ecstatic that had got their Pakistan, but where was this Pakistan? Not in Bindi Bazaar. And what was this Pakistan? If not India, this they did not know. They were happy, perhaps for no reason other than they finally had a reason to be happy about. At the Rampur Dada restaurant, many cups of tea and passing show cigarettes were consumed amid delight at the creation of Pakistan. As I said, I had no idea what to make of it. But the strange thing is that on 14th August, nobody was killed in Bombay. People were busy celebrating their freedom. What this freedom was, how it had been achieved, and what it would mean to their lives, not much thought was spent on it. There was only shouting Pakistan Zindabad on one side, Hindustan Zindabad on others. And now listen to something about our new Islamic Republic. On last year's Independence Day, a man was cutting down a tree in front of our house. I said to him, "What are you doing? You have no right to cut this tree." He replied, "This is Pakistan. It belongs to us." I had no reply to this. Once upon a time, before partition, our neighborhood was very pretty. Now the park in it is dirty, it is dry, and in which naked children play wild games and scream abuse. A large ball belonging to one of my daughters was lost. I thought it must be somewhere in the house and forgot about it. 4 days later, I saw some boys playing with it. When I confronted them, they said it is ours. We paid 1 rupee and 4 annas for it. It had cost me 4 rupees and 15 annas. But apparently, it's finders keepers in Pakistan. So I left my little girl's ball with them, for they had a right to it. Another story about the neighborhood. A man was removing the bricks from the path of our house. I went out and said, "Why are you doing this to us?" He replied, "This is Pakistan. Who are you to stop me?" I had no reply to this either. I had sent a radio for repairs and forgotten. When I remembered a month later, I went to pick it up. The man said, "I waited for you and then I sold it to recover the cost of repairs. And recently I got a notice from the government. You are an unwanted person. To it read, vacate the house that had been allotted to you as refugee property, or tell us why we should not evict you from it. If I am now declared an unwanted person, the government perhaps also reserves the right to declare me a rat and exterminate me. Anyway, for now I am safe here in Pakistan." In the end, I want to tell you this important story. When I left Bombay at partition, I first came to Karachi. Things were so nasty here that I immediately decided to flee to Lahore. I went to railway station and asked for a first-class ticket to Lahore. The booking clerk said, "All the seats are booked. There is no ticket for you." Now I use it to the environment of Bombay where everything is available for a price. So I said, "Look, why don't you take something and give it to me?" He stopped his work and looked at me. He said in a stern voice, "This is Pakistan. I would have done such a thing before, but now I cannot. All the seats are booked. You can't get a ticket at any price." And I did not. And this essay has been written originally as Yomi Istiqlal in Upar Niche or Darmiyan, 1954.